Hello, everyone. This is episode 6 of the Keep Rochdale Affordable podcast. We're currently live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Um, I know people have been waiting for the live stream. We already got comments before we even went live, so obviously people are interested in this discussion. A lot of people have been very upset about the letter that they received yesterday from the Rochdale Village Board of Directors, and Adena is going to go over what's in that letter and why it was, such a bombshell for the residents. I'm just going to put up on the screen a text version of the letter so that people can get a chance to see what it is we're talking about. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so the notice from the Board of Directors that was sent out to Rochdale Village shareholders is on the screen now. You can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Adina is going to read it because we know that it sometimes is hard to read on the screen, but we put it on the screen so you can see for yourself. So Adina is going to start. While Adina's discussing what the Board of Directors letter said, I'm going to be sharing out this feed to various social media groups so we can build the widest audience and so that everyone can participate in the discussion. Okay, so the floor is yours, Adina. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast on this Tuesday evening. Thank you so much. So basically, we got this letter from the board of directors, and I'm going to read it. Important notice from the board of director. Dear Rochdale Village shareholders, in keeping with our commitment to transparency and accountability, the board of directors wishes to inform you of a concerning situation that has been uncovering regarding two Rochdale Village properties. What has happened? The Department of Finance, DOF, has included two Rochdale Village properties in an upcoming May 20th, 2025 tax lien sale due to unpaid water bill. The two properties include 168-15 Baisley Boulevard, linked to a commercial tenant with approximately $1,088 in arrear. Number two, 132-11 Bedell Street, the location of our power plant, which has $2,244,482.09 in arrear. And these are all water bills. How this occurred. As we continue to maintain our commitment to enhance oversight and transparency, we have recently shared with you that the management made a unilateral decision to withhold payment of the water bill to prioritize other financial obligations such as mortgage payments, loan, and insurance. As previously stated at the special board of directors meeting held by shareholders, this decision was made without informing, consulting, or approval from the board of directors. This discovery demonstrates why the board has been increasing its oversight functions. As your elected representative, we want to be absolutely clear that the board did not authorize this course of action. So this letter basically is coming from the board of directors. It's not something that, John and I are making up. It came from the board of directors. I'm not sure why everyone didn't get a copy of this letter under their door because it's very important. Um, they basically also are saying that additionally, they want to protect Rochdale. They want to protect Rochdale Village. And guess who wants to protect Rochdale Village? We, the shareholders, want to protect Rochdale Village. So we're here and we're going to fight for Rochdale. This is a very concerning situation. I was very upset about it yesterday. I think I talked John's head half to death about about this last night because this is our community, and I feel that the power plant, especially the power plant, is one of the biggest asset that we have, and it's something that we treasure. So every time I go out, I always tell people, oh my God, we at Rochdale, we have our own power plant. Now what am I going to tell them when we lose the power plant? I have nothing to brag about.
Not to mention, we'll be price gouged to death by Con Edison if that happens. Which unfortunately a lot of Rochdale Village residents already have a lot of experience with being price gouged to death. Hello Key Food, hello Ideal, and hello Chase Bank. So in any case, why are we responding to this? We're responding to this because the board of directors makes it seem like they had no idea this was happening, and that this came out of nowhere and they just found out about it and all this. And they make it seem like they are the most transparent and accountable board of directors as ever been, and they are increasing their oversight functions and all this kind of stuff.
But John, while we sat at the board meeting, they had this information and we just sat there like big dummies. Like what in the world? They knew that there was a lien. They knew, because letters have to have been coming all of this time.
Yeah.
Letters been coming from the first of the year, and we just had the meeting the other day. So
And-
that we had bigger problems in the back scene, and you let us all just sit there like everything was normal. Like,
well, they also
it's like
let Jay Williams,
it's like sleeping with the enemy.
they also let Jay Williams lie 24/7 at that meeting, talking about how he had a deal to pay off the water bill with New York City's water board.
The water people was there too.
Yeah, and they lied too, because nobody said anything about the Department of Finance putting a lien on our property. What they said was they had a payment plan, and that it would be paid off over time. So, look, I mean, I don't expect anything else from Jay Williams except lies 24/7. It's like expecting a pig not to squeal. Okay, it's what he does. He does it all the time. He can't help it. He's a congenital liar. He lies all the time. So, Mary C was saying Jay Williams did not mention the lien at the special meeting nor in the bulletin. Yeah. Even more concerning, he spent our money to send out a newsletter to residents and never once mentioned the lien was going into effect in a couple of weeks. So, we don't expect anything else from Jay Williams and from Summit Management Company or from their predecessors, Marion Scott Real Estate. They've been lying to us for decades. We don't expect anything different from them. But for the board to come out here and run this ass covering campaign to pretend like they didn't know what was going on. If you didn't know, you should have known. Now, if Jay Williams says he has a plan to pay off the water bill that he chose not to pay to put us in $16 million worth of debt, don't you think you should check with the water board or with the Department of Finance to find out what he agreed to? And where does he get a free hand to go and negotiate new deals after he's fucked up all over the place? After he's got us in an outrageously high interest mortgage loan with Wells Fargo, you're going to let him have a free hand to negotiate, and you don't ask any questions. If I can contact my elected officials, why can't you? I got a full-time job. Adena's got a full-time job. Some of our board members are retired. Somebody must have been able to find out what's going on here. And now they act all shocked and surprised. I'm sorry. I'm not buying the act. And let's be honest about what has to happen here. The management contract with Summit Management Company expires in June of this year. They need to be gone after this management contract expires. We have cause, even if it wasn't the expiration of the contract, because of what they've done with the water bill alone, to potentially put our property in foreclosure and lien and have a bank charge us 25% a day to borrow money from them for water bills that should have been paid.
But where did they get this money from to pay? Because someone, I don't know, I didn't see the paperwork, but they said that they did pay some money up.
Obviously, they must have paid something because it's no longer in lien. Because we have documentation from the Department of Finance that the power plant and the other property are no longer included in that lien sale. So something must have happened. But then the question is, why should we have to pay that money? Why shouldn't that money come out of their management company contract? They're getting paid
And you can
to
call.
manage Rochdale Village. What would you say?
No, I said, yeah, you're right.
It should come out of their management fee. Why should they get a management fee when they're putting us in danger of losing our property? They should be held responsible for that, not us. And the other thing is here that the people who are on the board, we have a supermajority of people who ran saying they didn't trust the management company, that they were going to watch over and provide oversight and stop them from engaging in bad business practices. They said they engaged in decades worth of mismanagement. You ran for office on that basis. So how could you be missing in action when they're doing it again? How does that work? How is that oversight? How are you going to pat yourself on the back? They're bending over backwards to pat themselves on the back about what a great job they're doing with oversight. But yet you allowed them to have a free hand to get our neck in the noose again. It doesn't make any sense at all. Adena, go ahead.
Yes, well, they said that they're doing everything. And I mean, you can put a band-aid on this right now, but it's still a problem. So say you run and you pay the water bill, you pay a little payment on it. You still have this the water bill keep coming. Next month again, it's going to be another water bill. The water bill just doesn't go away. So even if you put a little band-aid on it, the band-aid is going to come off. It's a hemorrhage. And when you have a hemorrhage, a band-aid don't work on a hemorrhage. You need a whole bunch of packing and a whole bunch of pressing for that hemorrhage to stop. It's not like you have it, huh?
You need a tourniquet for a hemorrhage.
Yeah, definitely. So you putting a band-aid, it's not gonna help. When but the thing about it is, you feel so bad because we all sat at that meeting, hundreds of people on the phone, and no one said anything about a lien on the water bill. You know what I'm saying? We all sat there, but then you wonder in the back of the darkness of your head, like, what else are they hiding? What else do we not know about? What else we get up tomorrow morning and boom, what happened? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What else are you hiding? Because they tell half truth. Just like how they said, oh yeah, we owe the water bill, but you forgot to tell us about the lien. That's what I'm saying to you about half truth. And when people saying that they're lying, this is what we're saying. That and you say, oh, I'm not lying. This is what I'm saying, that you're lying because you're telling half truth.
Yeah.
You forgot. You just simply forgot to tell us that there was a lien on one of the most delicate, important thing in our community.
It's the most valuable thing we own. Other than
Yeah,
the
and then you're
buildings
gonna take it
themselves,
away.
it's the most valuable thing we own.
Yeah.
And the same, aside from which, aren't these people paying attention at all? This dude is talking about selling our power. He's talking about selling our energy. You got to wonder why.
But John,
Why does he think he has a free hand to go and negotiate a deal to sell our power? It's not his power. It's our power. The residents own that power plant, not Jay Williams. So why would you allow him to go and negotiate with anybody without checking him? Why isn't the board of directors at those meetings? Who is he? Who is he? He's an employee. Who is he to go and negotiate on our behalf? He don't represent us. He represents us so long as we pay him to represent us. He's an employee. When are they going to start acting like that's the relationship here? Who hired who? We hired him. He didn't hire us. He doesn't have to be convinced and impressed with us. We have to be impressed with his continued leadership or he won't be here anymore. Good. I'm sorry. No. Sorry to bogart the mic. Go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say.
So I just want to get to some of what the water bill is. Let me just see if I can pull up some details on it. Okay. These are from posts within Real Deal Watch. Okay, here. This is first. This is damn it. It reset. Sorry about that. So I'm just trying to find the post that I was trying to okay. So here is the notice that can you see this? The lien has been removed. Do you see that?
I barely can see because my eyes are bad.
Okay, all right. The lien has been removed. Our account balance is still $15,581,349.60. It says, congratulations, you are no longer in the 2025 lien sale. and the address was 13211 Bedell Street, Jamaica, New York 11434, which is the physical location
Power
of
plan.
the power plant. Okay, so the outstanding balance was the outstanding balance
2
was
million.
$2,244,482.09. Minimum payment amount $554,406.73. So clearly, someone must have paid the $500,000, otherwise it wouldn't have been removed from the 2025 lien sale. So that's part of the information, so that people know what we're talking about, and also so that people know we're not making up any information. This is all information from the Department of Finance website. By the way, shout out to Sharima Monet, who got some of this information. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and then.
Yeah, but then people come up and say they'll forget that there was a letter that was sent out about the lien, and they'll say, oh, but look, we're not in any lien anymore. We paid up. Y'all was lying about it. You
Yeah.
have to be transparent to tell the whole story from beginning to end. There was a problem. You paid it up, and we have both receipts to say that it was done. So don't come and say, "Oh, you guys are lying." See, there. I went on the website and I checked yesterday, and it wasn't there. But if you checked 2 days ago, it was there.
Yeah.
So
So
don't
just
come with half truth.
I'm just sharing on the screen another post from Sharima Monet. It says that according to DEP, the amount that we owe, we have until May 19th to make a payment. If we make the minimum payment, we can enter into a payment plan for 10 years at 16% interest annually. Here's another little fact that nobody provided. Notice the board of directors letter didn't say anything about that. The added interest, 16% annually.
But wait a minute, that's just for the back one. So moving forward, how do you pay the one that's going forward?
That I don't know. Yeah. It says if we do not, on May 20th, our lien will be sold to a bank. At that point, the bank will charge us 25% interest compounded daily on the $2.2 million. Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, sends 90, 60, 30, and 10-day notices of the lien sale. So management has known about this since at least the beginning of the year. My question is, why is this information not provided by the board of directors? And why did they not let anybody know about this situation? If Sharima Monet can go online and contact the Department of Environmental Protection and get this information, where is the board of directors on this? And where have they been all this time? It's so Sharima Monet says that it would be tacked onto the monthly bill, current and the back due. So that's what she was saying. You were asking going forward, what would happen? It would be tacked onto the current bill. So the current bills would all be higher. We have some more comments I wanted to put up here. Does anyone know how the board found out the lien is lifted off the power plant? Yeah, we did mention that the lien was lifted off the power plant, but obviously that must have been because they made a payment. Click 9 also says, yeah, he's going to say that he didn't pay some other bill because he had to take care of the lien. That's the next. Yeah.
I wonder what bill is that? The mortgage?
Yeah, I wonder what bill he's done paying now.
The interest.
Yeah. But the bottom line is that, like, this community has been in debt for decades. And the root of all of our suffering, the bane of our existence, the destruction of our community, the thing that's brought us to the brink of financial collapse is Jay Williams, Summit Management Company, Marion Scott Real Estate, and their decades worth of lies telling us that we could somehow renew and rehabilitate 60-year-old plus properties by, quote, leveraging other people's money. And that they never expressed to people how much interest was going to be involved in that we were going to pay 44.3% for the first 10 years of that refinancing loan.
They forgot to say that part, right?
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying to you, that when Jay Williams or the board of directors said that there's lies going around, it's just half truth, because you forget to tell the residents about certain things. You forget to tell them, okay, yeah, we paid up the water bill or whatever, but there's interest. Or yeah, we took a loan out and we gonna, maintain the buildings or pay our debt or whatever, but you forget to think about the interest, and it's so high that it will come after us down the road and cause us pain.
Right.
They just
And
forget
also,
certain
but
things.
also they made it seem like I was telling lies, that the state should be funding Rochdale, that this is a state-run Mitchell-Lama. They are responsible. They are the landlord. What do you mean they're not going to provide any money for the upkeep of 60-year-old cooperative communities that are supposed to remain affordable? How would they possibly remain affordable when the price of everything is going up? How do you keep a community like that affordable? It's just not rocket science. You need state funding. And aside from which, where is the state to provide grants? Cynthia Horner had posted about this as an important comment a post that she made, that we shouldn't be asking for loans. We should be asking for grants.
Definitely, yes, definitely.
This should be straight funding. We shouldn't have to pay it back.
Yeah.
And so the question is, who's left to advocate for us? Who is?
Well,
Why do
John, you basically, okay, so I don't think that Rochdale, the board of director, or Jay Williams had known about the $80 million that was there.
they did?
So no, they didn't know about it. So you had to bring it up to them. They didn't say that part about it. But you brought it up to them, and they were confused, they didn't know what you was talking about. So you digged into it a little bit more, and you
Yeah.
found out that Co-op City was given 51. They were what well
They were promised
they were
51 million.
promised 51 million, and they're still 29.
There's still $29 million available. Yeah.
Yes, and then after that, now you digged and you sent that information to Gene Hall and the board of directors, letting them know how to apply for the $29 million, right?
Yeah.
So
I got a response from Gene Hall last week, so I just want to put that up here. Let me just.
okay. So if we could get some of the $29 million that's out there, that will be able to help with some of the burden that Rochdale do face. But we have to apply for it. So John basically sent the information of how to apply for this. This is a grant, right?
It's a loan. It's a low interest loan. It's like 0.25% interest per year. I'm trying to find the email from Gene Hall. I'm looking right now.
Okay.
Here it is. Here we go. All right, I have it. So I'm going to put it up on the screen. So she said that. Let me just put it up on the screen here. Okay, you can see it, correct?
No, you have to read it.
Oh, hold on. It's on the screen. Okay. So the email was from Gene Hall, and it's CC'd to all of the board of directors and HCR, stated May 9th, 2025 at 2:42 p.m. So it says, thank you. Good day. Thank you for reaching out to the board of directors regarding the $80 million appropriated in the New York State budget 2024-2025 for Mitchell-Lama Developments. Upon further information provided by HCR, note that $51 million of the $80 million has been set aside for Co-op City. The remaining $29 million is available for Mitchell-Lama Development statewide. Management has advised that no formal request for funds had been submitted as of this date. However, they are actively seeking additional information and assistance to make an application on behalf of Rochdale Village. If you have further questions, let me know. Regards, Gene Hall, board president. So, in any case, what's the response to this? It shouldn't be the management company that is investigating applying for this. You know who is responsible for applying for this? The board of directors. They are responsible. They need to take some responsibility for applying directly for that aid. Because when I speak to the state, when I spoke to the state Senate Housing Committee Chair, Brian Kavanaugh's office, and when we spoke to the state Senate Finance Committee, they said the money was available, and they said, have your board of directors contact us directly. Here is the application. And I sent that application to the board of directors. And yet the response we get from Gene Hall is more of the same runaround that management has to investigate and apply. If you're waiting on management to come to the rescue, you're kidding. I mean, they got to be kidding us at this point, that management is left with the responsibility for applying for aid that they didn't know about and that they put us into hock because they did not apply for over a year. So it is the board's responsibility to act, and they better start acting, because either you're going to get rid of this management company or we're going to get rid of you. Okay? It's that simple. Okay? Either you do your job, you serve your function, you provide real oversight, and you put your boot in the back of this management company and get them to act right for as long as they're here and get them gone as soon as possible. Or you're going to be that board of director that used to be here, because this cannot continue. I don't want to hear no more excuses. I don't want to hear it's not fair to criticize you. You ran for the position. You ran for the position. You put yourself forward as someone who was going to lead. Either lead or get out of the way, because it's not. I don't want to hear any more of the egomania. No more of, oh, it's not our fault. We work. You know, there's too much to handle. We're a volunteer board. I don't want to hear that anymore. Either do your job and fulfill your promises, or stop the waterworks. I don't want to hear it no more. You know, the other thing is, we've also been contacted by the New York State Controller's Office. I just received an email today saying that they want to speak to me tomorrow about, you know, the potential improprieties related to Summit Management Company's management of Rochdale Village as a New York State Mitchell-Lama. I'm going to pull up that email right now. They want to speak tomorrow at 10 a.m. With me, following up on an email that I sent them on February 27th. I wonder why just now the Office of the State Controller, Division of State Government Accountability, Diane Gustard, the audit manager, is getting in contact with me just now. Could be that I reached out to the New York City Controller, Brad Lander's office, and they may have followed up with them. But it could also be that there's a whole lot of smoke and there's a whole lot of controversy over how this community is being run, because when your power plant gets put on a New York City tax lien sale list, it kind of raises attention. So the emails from Diane J. Gustard says, good morning. We will be calling you tomorrow at 10 a.m. regarding the matters you outlined in the attached letter. Please confirm that you're available for the call. If you're not, please let me know when you can. So I responded, letting them know that I would be available. And this here is the email that I sent New York State Controller Thomas DiNapoli. Just wanted to see if you can, okay, you can read that. So it said that I am writing as a concerned shareholder of Mitchell-Lama Cooperative at Rochdale Village in Jamaica, Queens, to urge you to take immediate action to prevent an unfair financial burden from being placed on Rochdale's residents due to a proposed carrying charge increase. The lowest increase currently being proposed is 22.3%, starting as soon as April 2025, and then another 4.5% in 2026. The highest increase is 34.7%. And an additional 5% in 2026. This was before HCR came out with their numbers, which is 44% over 2 years. So I said that I believe that cooperative shareholders are now being forced to shoulder a burden caused by mismanagement of funds by representatives of Summit, the management company that runs Rochdale Village, and that this increase is not only unjust, but also affordable to many of us. So I was urging them to intervene in this matter, specifically in keeping with your office's independent fiscal oversight responsibilities into the financial mess we now face at Rochdale Village Cooperative. I'm asking you on behalf of my community members to use your teams of accountants, attorneys, economists, financial analysts, and researchers to begin an independent audit of Rochdale Village's finances and to determine what specific decisions led to the crisis that we as residents are now facing. So, you know, this I provided more information, and most of this information was in the petition that we had put out. But so you can see basically what it is, why they're responding, right? They're responding because we're asking them to use their to to use their fiscal oversight responsibilities, their teams of professionals to audit exactly how we got into the crisis that we face. And so we're going to find out tomorrow what they have to say about the way in which Rochdale Village is being run. But my question to the residents is, why is it not the role of our elected representatives in the board of directors to do more than cover their ass and talk about transparency and accountability, but actually walk that talk in terms of actually reaching out to elected officials and putting pressure on them to investigate exactly what's going on here and how we got into this financial mess? Why is that my job? Why is it the job of any resident and not those who ran for office saying they would represent 25,000 residents who depend upon them to be the people who provide oversight, to be the people who force the management company to do things they don't want to do? I was a union officer in TW Loc 100, and I was elected to the highest decision-making body of the union, the executive board. And the whole point of being elected to that position was to be a check on management, was to force them to do business in a way that actually represented the interest of our members. That is what you should be expecting from your board of directors. Not a bunch of excuses, not a bunch of IOUs, not we didn't know, oh, we weren't involved in the decision making. No, I want to know what it is you are consciously doing. What are you actively doing every day when you claim to represent us? And why is it not you taking the lead in putting pressure on the state controller, on our elected officials to show up for us? And by the way, since we're speaking about elected officials, when is the meeting with elected officials? We were told by the New York City Public Advocate's Office that it would take place on Tuesday, May 20th at 7 p.m. But yet we've heard nothing from your elected board of directors about when this meeting will take place. How are we supposed to get anywhere if every meeting we have is just another board of directors meeting where for 30 minutes maybe residents get to speak?
And three residents probably get to speak.
I mean, the most I've ever seen is like 4
5.
or 5. Yeah. And
that doesn't make no sense.
But the other thing is, these board of directors meetings are like a hostage setting. We have the management company who screwed us in the meeting. Why are they there? Why are they at the board of directors meetings? Why don't we have any meetings without them present? When the elected officials come here, will the management company be present for that meeting?
Yes.
That shouldn't be happening.
Mm-hmm.
How are residents going to feel free to speak openly about what this management company has done with us if they're in the meeting? I don't personally have a problem taking on Jay Williams directly, but residents should have a forum where they can speak openly and freely about what this management company has done to us. So in any case, this is where we are, and this is why we are where we are, because we have a board of directors that doesn't want to take responsibility for doing its job. And, you can be as hard as you want on the previous boards, and you should be. And you can be as hard as you want on the management company, and you should be. But ultimately, the only way out of this is for the board to start pulling its own weight, for the board to start fulfilling its function. And that is why the management company thinks they have a free hand to negotiate on our behalf and do anything they think is clever to save themselves. And that has to change. I'm going to put up some of the comments that have been posted in both Facebook and YouTube. One comment from Chandra Rose said the board just needs to admit they need help. Yeah, that would be a good first step.
How would the board get help?
Well, I mean, they need residents to be involved. Maybe they need more members on the board. I don't know. I mean, maybe they need more training.
Well, what kind of help? You know what I'm saying? What kind of the problem is that the situation is so dire that I don't know what to do, because the thing about it is that the burden of our debt is so much that even when they raise it to the 44%, I'm just saying, if they do, it's still a problem. We're still tumbling down.
Yeah,
because
just
now we would need, as you said, we need the money from the state. The state can come in and fix the only people that can come here and fix this problem is the state,
right.
because the resident don't have we the resident don't make enough money to handle this problem, this financial burden. We just don't make
Yeah,
this kind of money. So we would need the state to come in and to give us, as you know, the other resident was saying, a grant. Not even a loan. We don't even need a loan. Because
yeah.
we gotta pay
No,
that back.
we need continuous
We
state funding on a yearly basis
yeah,
every year, and
yeah.
we need to have
Every year we need that to offset it.
the debt that we're in. We need to have that funding paid for to pay for that loan to get us out
Yeah,
of that debt.
definitely.
We also
Yeah.
need financial consequences for that racist parasite bank known as Wells Fargo, who's been sanctioned across the country to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars for racist predatory lending. They need to be investigated. And I'm going to speak to the controller's office tomorrow specifically about that point. So I'm trying to put up the comments so that we respond to all these comments. I'm starting to think the financial ruin was intentional, like who stands to gain the most. And that really is the key point. Like, I don't think any of this stuff is not intentional. I think this is a deliberate plan to force us into privatization and gentrification. They want to load up any public entity. They've done it with the public schools. They've done it with numerous publicly run services and communities to basically show that it can't be run publicly, to show that it's in financial ruin, so that they can break these institutions and so that they can allow real estate predators to come in and make a fortune off of turning Rochdale Village from a publicly run, state run, affordable housing community into a for-profit, market rate luxury apartment complex. And if you think about where Rochdale Village is situated, we're a stone's throw from JFK Airport. We're right near the Long Island Railroad. We're right near the border for Long Island. They are salivating over
And the
this.
bus route, we have the 85. We have two bus routes. The Q85, the 111, the 113. I think it's the 112.
Yeah.
We have two malls. Banks. We have the banks. We have pharmacies. Like one is inside the big mall. One is
And
inside the small mall. Huh?
speaking of that, sorry to interrupt. Did you notice that when they put out their financial statements in every year and every month's Rochdale Village Bulletin, do you know how much we make from commercial retail rent? It's around 3%. At Co-op City, I believe they've never had a figure lower than 35%, and normally it's 40 to 45%. I'm finding that a little hard to believe. That so Co-op City, yeah, they have more retail property, they have more commercial retail space, but I'm having a hard time believing that the gap between 3% and 35% at a minimum is even possible, unless they were deliberately looking to further financial crisis.
Well, the thing about it is,
run as a not-for-profit.
yeah, yeah. But the thing about it is, everything is going up, so that should also go up to help to, because the residents just can't handle this burden. We just cannot. We refuse to handle it.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we're not going to handle
We're
it.
not going to. We're not going to. People are openly talking about a rent strike. Now, I'm not
We
saying
just
that's a
cannot handle it.
solution. I'm not saying that's a solution, but that's just a fact. If you raise our carrying charges upwards of $500 over the next 2 years, you have 3% of people not paying your carrying charges now. You're going to have 30 and 40%. And maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe it's the plan to bring us to even further to financial collapse so they can justify privatization. Maybe that's the plan. And don't tell me that your board of directors is not conscious of what's going on here.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that
when Gina was in our building, in Building 5 on Monday, she openly talked about the possibility of privatizing Rochdale Village. Why do you bring it up? Why do you bring it up and throw up your hands like there's nothing you can do? Doesn't make any sense. The math ain't math in here. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Adena. Go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is that what else is being hidden in the dark?
Yeah.
That we don't know about. What part of it is just hanging on the cliff? waiting to push Rochdale over, and
Right.
and people, yeah, the older residents, they're kind of safe now, some of them, because of the programs that they're in.
If they make less than $50,000 a year,
If they make less than 50,000,
which
but
most of them don't.
yeah, but who to say that tomorrow that can't change? If they come in and privatize and they'd be like, well, you got to go because this is new management. That was what happened over there. So don't think that you're safe. No one is safe right now.
Yeah.
So no one under the umbrella is safe because they could come and just snatch that away from everybody, which is not important because, you know, it's just not a good feeling to have.
Not only that, a lot of those programs are funded indirectly through federal funding. And we all know what's going on in the federal government in the hands of a white supremacist fascist government under Donald Trump. So if you think that funding is guaranteed forever, it's not, because New York State will be in a massive crisis when and if the federal government starts withholding those funds. And they've already openly talked about doing so. Speaking about the state budget, I am Mary Seed had a question about, does anyone know if the New York State budget was passed to include Mitchell-Lama? This is the most I know about it right now. There was $750 million proposed for the rehabilitation of New York State Mitchell-Lamas and $100 million proposed for the day-to-day operating expenses of those Mitchell-Lamas. That was in the state assembly budget. There was a lesser amount proposed in the state Senate budget. Now, Kathy Hochul's playing a game. She's running a victory lap saying that the budget is approved, yet nobody has a copy of the budget. Nobody's seen a written version of what the budget that they approved was. And you have state assembly members in her comments on social media saying, where's the budget? Where's the text of the budget that was agreed to? So to be honest with you, I don't know if it was passed to include Mitchell-Lama. I would assume that some kind of funding is in that budget because both the Senate and the Assembly budget both had funding for Mitchell-Lamas. But how much? Nobody knows because Kathy Hochul is playing games. And aside from which, Kathy Hochul's been playing games for a long time. The budget was due on April 1st. It is now, May 13th? So we're over a month and a half late on the budget. Why are we late on the budget? Because she wanted to push through a mask ban to make it illegal to wear a mask in New York State. Because apparently it's very difficult for the cops to solve crimes if you wear a mask. And so we have to have some kind of additional criminal penalties for wearing a mask in New York State, which is an attack on people with disabilities, which is basically an end-around attack to trying to criminalize the protests that's been going on of Palestinian rights organizations at Columbia and other places. It's just another excuse to act like they're doing something about crime when they're actually just about criminalizing free speech. So very much like Donald Trump. I'm going to put some more comments up on the board, on the screen here. I am Mary Seed said this mess started way before the board got it. I believe they are doing the best they can. I really don't believe they know about the lien. We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. Well, I mean, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes because the board doesn't keep us informed about what's going on behind the scenes. Let's be honest about that. I mean, if they're the ones who say they are actively involved in reaching out to our elected officials behind the scenes, and we don't know how hard they're working, and they're working their little fingers to the bone, and all of this, and that this is the way to get these things done, by working behind the scenes. So where is the proof? Where is the results? Where are the receipts for the work they've been doing behind the scenes? It doesn't make sense. This has been going on. They passed the increases on January 27th of this year, and the discussion about this has been going on long before that. And that's 5-6 months. What have they done? What have they accomplished? And I don't want to hear that they're doing the best they can, because if this is the best they can do, it's not good enough, not close to good enough. And I'm fully willing to admit that the previous boards were 1,000 times worse, that they were completely in bed with the management company, that they were outright corrupt, and many of them may have been taking payoffs and kickbacks from the management company. I don't believe that about the supermajority that's currently in power. I can't prove any of that, so I would never say that. However, just being somewhat better than the complete collaboration that we had in the past is nowhere near enough to solve the crisis that we face right now. The crisis that we face right now is not just some crisis. It's an existential crisis. It could destroy this community. It could destroy any promises to affordability that have ever been made in this community. So I'm sorry. Them doing the best they can, if that's what they're doing, is nowhere near good enough. Sorry. And if you can't do it, then step aside and let somebody else do it, because we can't afford leaders who tell us this is the best they can do, which is to wring their hands and cover their ass while the ship is sinking. Sorry, not good enough. Nowhere near good enough. Okay, so I'm trying to get some more of the comments up here. By the way, we're up to about 46 minutes, so in about 10 minutes we're going to wrap up. But let me see if I can get the get some of these comments up. Here we go. Management has no problem getting loans. They should have no problem applying for the 80 million. She was saying that IMRC was saying that management should be. If they were competent, if they could be trusted to do something that wasn't intergalactically stupid, if they could be counted on to do anything that didn't dig our own grave, yeah, then I would propose that they do something. But because I know that everything they do.
But it's not a problem with them getting a loan. It's the problem of the high interest that we have to pay back.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
The problem.
Well, but the loan that she's talking about, the $80 million.
Anybody can get a loan. Even I can get a loan.
Well, but the loan that she's talking about is at 0.25% a year, so it's not a high interest loan. So just to be clear. Click 9 said, yes, Chandra, I totally agree with you. That's what that's responding to her comment about she's starting to think the financial room was intentional, like who stands to gain the most. I mean, I think we would be idiots if we didn't think that Jay Williams and the management company and all the vendors here and Chase, that they all don't have a financial motive and that they don't have financial interests that they're pursuing to get a certain kind of outcome. I mean, with the sweetheart deals they're getting, where they get 2% increases on their commercial rent, while we're getting attacked with 44% over 2 years, I think we would be foolish to think that they don't have other plans afoot. Here, another comment from IMRC says, luxury, not with these leaks and old cabinets. Listen, don't worry. When they kick us all out and evict us, they'll have plenty of luxury here when the white people mothership is around the corner, and they're changing the entire demographics of this community. And I speak as somebody who knows white people. I know my own community. I see what they did in Harlem. I see what they did everywhere they gentrified, and what happens. You won't believe the spigot of money that's going to be flowing for them. That's not flowing for us. So Click 9 says also there's a bus that goes to Manhattan. It's the there's a bus that goes to right there. That goes. It's an express bus that goes directly to Manhattan. So Click 9 says yes, they want to run us out of here. Nikki M says with all the vacancies and the lowball rent they're being charged. That she was talking about the commercial rent. I am Mary C said I've been checking and I can't find anything. I don't know what that was in response to. Please let us know in the comments and we'll try to respond to that. Sandra Wu says, do you have any insight on what would happen to our equity should Rochdale go under? I'm really not sure, because it's a not-for-profit. So I don't know if there is any equity that would be produced, because, like, for example, when people leave here, they only get what they put in. They don't get, like, it's not like equity would generally mean that they would increase the value of the property would increase, and you would get equity as a byproduct of that. I don't think we would get equity, because it's a not-for-profit community. And so what you would get back is what you put in. So I don't think that that's something that, I don't have any other insight on that, but I don't think that we would get any equity. I am Mary Seed said the budget. That was the question she was asking about. I've been checking and I can't find anything. Yeah, you're very right about that. I mean, there is no information on the state websites except the original proposals from the state assembly and from the state senate. Other than some PowerPoint propaganda thing that Hochul put out, I can try to post that, but it doesn't have any details about exactly what was decided in the budget. So everything is kind of still up in the air. I mean, look, we have an incompetent lunatic governor who is worried about re-election next year and is trying to please everybody and is pleasing nobody, and is in the pockets of the real estate industry and Wall Street and financial capital, and is bouncing all over the place. And this is the shit show that's going on. And unfortunately, the way budgets work in New York State, there's 3 people that make all the decisions. Even though the state assembly passed the budget, and even though the state senate passed the budget, it's meaningless. 3 people make the decisions. State Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie, State Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins, and the governor. It's 3 people in a room, and it's been that way for decades. It was that way under Cuomo. It was that way under the original Cuomo. It was that way under Pataki. And because that hasn't changed, this is the circus we're facing. And everybody's being held hostage. It's not just affordable housing communities. It's every community that needs state funding is being held hostage by this entire process. It's a real shit show. Another comment, Marcus says they only come when it's time to vote. I assume that you're, well, I mean, that could be about our elected officials, or that could be about our board of directors. I'm sure they're going to be out here this September when there's an election. I'm sure they're going to be out here screaming from the hilltops about what they've been doing for us. And I'm sure they're going to have receipts then about what they've been doing. And nobody knew how hard they were working behind the scenes. Fortunately, it may be a little too late, and we can't let that happen. So, I mean, if people ask, why are we on a podcast? Why are we trying to organize people? Why are we taking a leadership role? It's because that role has been abdicated by the people who hold a position of power and were elected by us, promising they would represent us. And Click9 says they'll be out there handing out their flyers. Yeah. I mean, what good does it do us for them to put out propaganda about what a good job they've done when we lose affordability at Rochdale? And aside from which, what happens to every other community when the few affordable housing communities we have disappear?
Well, John, also is that if Rochdale rent goes up, the surrounding communities are going to say, well, look what happened to Rochdale. Your rent is going up too.
Exactly.
Because that's what's going to go up. The whole around this area is going to be inflated.
Not only that, when they privatize Rochdale, guess what? All the property values are going to go up. All the real estate values are going to go up everywhere around here.
Yes, but then the real estate value go up on the houses, but then also the taxes go up, and sometimes people can't afford to pay the mortgage and the
they'll
taxes.
Be priced out too, and they'll
You know
be
what I'm
priced
saying?
out
So
too.
yeah, oh my goodness, my house is worth $1 million, but the taxes go up and they can't afford to pay it. And guess who's gonna buy those homes? Because the regular person not gonna buy the rinky-dinky house down the block for $1 million with $40,000 worth of taxes attached to it. They won't be able to afford it.
Yeah.
So, it's a bigger problem. It gets worse and worse and worse. It just gets, if you start thinking, you're like, oh my God, the whole thing is just a mess.
Yeah, and
So
also,
not only us being problems, the surrounding communities.
Yeah, it's an attack. It's an attack on every working class community. It's an attack on every city worker, every state worker. That's who lives here. We are the people who keep this city running. We are transit workers.
A lot of hospital workers.
Yeah.
Civil
service workers. Yeah. Yeah, I am Mary Seed says BlackRock will buy the homes. Exactly. And that's what they've been doing all over the country. And this is part of the problem, is that the Democrats who say that they care about poor and working class communities have allowed that to happen. And they've taken all sorts of financial contributions, political contributions from BlackRock, from Airbnb, and all of these other financial parasites who are sharpening up their knives to take away what little affordable housing that is still left, so that they continue to maximize their profits. And that's why we need to be much more active, and why we can't stand on the sidelines watching the Titanic go down and look at it and not know what to do. We have to do something. So tomorrow we're going to be speaking to the New York State Controller's Office. I'm going to be continuing to reach out to the New York City Controller's Office, Brad Lander's office. We're also in contact with the Gothamist and WNYC Radio, who want to come down to Rochdale and visit and speak to residents. That's going to be happening sometime soon. We also need to keep the pressure on about this meeting with elected officials. It's not okay for you to promise a meeting with elected officials on March 10th, and now it's May 13th, and there's not been one notice about when that meeting would take place. That's not acceptable, especially since we've been in contact with the elected officials, and they already had a meeting planned with us for May 20th, Tuesday at 7 p.m. So if that meeting's been rescheduled, the least your board of directors could do would be to put out some kind of notice about when that meeting is going to take place. They also need to explain, what is that meeting going to look like? Is that going to be a time-limited meeting where people get 3 minutes to speak? How many people are going to be able to speak at that meeting? Will the management company be there filibustering the meeting and telling their lives 24/7? Or will residents actually control that meeting? You need to contact Adrienne Adams' office and tell her to get the governor there. Contact the governor's office and tell her she needs to be there. She needs to be in contact with our board of directors about when that meeting's taking place. She don't have no bigger commitment or no bigger obligation than to the few affordable housing communities that we have left in this state. She better be there. And we need to call on a regular basis to her office every week, every day, as many people as possible, to express to her how important it is that she be there. I'm just going to put up some of the last comments that we got, because we're going to begin to wrap up in the next 2 or 3 minutes. So it says, Marcus says, remember they tried to split Rochdale with the zoning of the districts. Actually,
they did that.
Yeah, Adena was familiar with that. I don't think I was here at that time.
You was. They were saying that to be here with South Jamaica. I was trying to say something like that. I remember how far that was.
Gotcha. So Click 9 says, thanks a million for all you're doing. You are appreciated. So Marcus says, and no pre-screen questions. Yeah, we don't want them repeating back to us our own questions. Let us ask our own questions in real time. If you can't answer real questions in real time, then resign. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to answer questions in real time. We want a real discussion and a real dialogue, and we don't want to be muzzled by our board of directors. This cannot be a stage managed event. And that needs to be the case at the board meeting that they have scheduled for next Monday, May 19th at 7 p.m. It's going to be in the ballroom in the community center. And we should all be there in person, as many people as possible. We need to make sure that that's a real democratic meeting too. Then Click 9 says the board is going to plan 3 people that they know to ask questions and then say thanks for coming out. Good night. Yeah, we need to prevent that from happening. You have to have a sense of humor about these things, obviously it does. But we need to be there in large numbers to make sure that doesn't happen.
If I get paid, I'll ask a question for them.
No. I know you got plenty of time for jokes, but we need to be there.
I gotta pay the rent. I gotta pay the increased charges.
There are no individual solutions, Adena. We need to be there with enough numbers of people to make sure that doesn't happen, so that they're not going to get away with that. Okay. So again, the board meeting Monday, May That's May 19th at 7 p.m. at the community center. It should be in the grand ballroom. I'm sure the flyer should be coming out soon about that because they mentioned it in the letter about the water bill. So clearly they've moved up that meeting to next Monday because it would normally take place the following Monday, which is normally on the last Monday of every month. And email and contact your board members and tell them we need to know when this meeting with the elected officials is happening, and we need to know exactly what it is they are doing. We don't want to hear that they're on it and that they're going to take action. We want to know concretely exactly what kind of actions you're going to take. And we want to know who stands 10 toes down to get rid of this management company. Their contract is up in June. They should not be here by July. We want to know from our board members, where do you stand? Because if you don't stand with us on this question, we don't have time for nothing else you have to say. They have to be gone, and they have to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. And if you won't do it, we will get somebody who will do it. Thank you so much for your time. And we know it's you have to take time out to participate. You have to come home from work. We're going to be probably following up next weekend with another podcast. We'll let you know when the time and date of that will be. We'd like to thank everybody for joining us, and thank you for all the comments. We'll talk to you real soon, and we look forward to being in community with you again real soon. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.